سلام بینندگان عزیز. بیننده گفتگوی ویژه با آقای ریچارد هالبروک، یکی از سیاستگزاران ایالات متحده آمریکا هستید. Welcome to Telo TV, sir. And thank you for giving us the opportunity.
My pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. As we know, you had a trip to Coast Province. I want to ask my first question about that province. What were you doing there? And what did you see over there?
This is my third trip to Afghanistan in my life. The first one was back in 1971 when I was very young and the country was at peace. And I immediately fell in love with Afghanistan, as so many foreign visitors do. And then I came back 2 years ago after the war to see the progress that was being made. And I traveled to Herat. And this time I went to Kust just to get a sense of a different part of the country. What I saw there was a very impressive effort led by the province governor with a good international team of soldiers, American soldiers, civilians, United Nations, all working together, and the situation seemed to be much better in Kust than it is in other parts of the country.
As you have gone to Kust and you had a trip there, you may have interviews and meetings with local people, with the elders, with the responsible people like police chief and people like that. What was the main problem over there, and what was the main desire of the people there? The security, better security, or the better development?
They want both security and development, and really you can't have one without the other. If you don't have security, you can't have development, and if you don't have development, the security will deteriorate again. So I think that was very clear. I met with 3 tribal elders. They were very sophisticated, very knowledgeable about what was going on in the rest of the world. And I met with the province governor, who was terrific, and with some students from the University of Khost and some students in the local madrasa. By and large, the number one concern was the recent killing of some civilians in Khost in a military incident in which 6 civilians were killed. Now, this was very unfortunate, should never have happened, and they were very concerned that it would turn the population against the international community, against the coalition forces, against the Americans.
You just talked about the 6 civilians had been killed when you went there. There are a lot of civilians have been killed during the 4 or 5 past years. And you say they were concerned about the distance which is going to be provided between people in the international forces and especially with the central government. What do you think about these 4 and 5 past years which has gone, and there are tens of civilians killed during the missions and attacks? Aren't there a big distance between the people in the government, beside that with the international forces?
I think that the question of civilian casualties is one of the biggest problems facing Afghanistan today. If it continues, it will undermine the effectiveness of the coalition forces. And it's the coalition forces that have given the great opportunity to Afghanistan to rebuild from its dark days, the black years, when it was controlled by the so-called Taliban. So this is an issue that must be gotten under control. It must be.
Why do you think civilians are killed?
In war, accidents always happen, but there's not any reason to excuse them just because they happened before. And these things should not have happened. They happened because of sloppy targeting, trigger-happy people, misunderstandings. Sometimes the Taliban use civilians as a human shield when they fight. But whatever the reasons, it's something that we have to prevent.
You said war. War is going on in Afghanistan. So do you think people will be killed beside the war?
In war, people get killed, yes.
So are there any ways that you think would be beneficial for stopping killing civilians?
I think that the targets must be very carefully chosen. I don't think this particular operation should ever have happened, the one in Kust.
Who do you blame on that?
In this particular case, I think that it was a targeting mistake and a tragic misunderstanding. I don't blame any individuals. I blame the situation.
As we know, you were a good campaigner of Senator Hillary Clinton in the election of president in the United States. What do you think, what would be the policy of Senator Clinton towards Afghanistan?
Senator Clinton has issued a 6-page plan on Afghanistan, which is on her website, if people want to visit it. She has made clear that as president, she would increase American support and efforts in Afghanistan. The other Democratic contender, Senator Obama, has said roughly the same thing. Even Senator McCain has said he would increase the effort. So I think the most important message that I could give to the Afghan people in this interview today would be very simple. Whoever the next president of the United States is, there will be a continuation of the American commitment in Afghanistan. It is not a political issue. Iraq is a political issue. Senator McCain wants to continue the war. The Democrats want to end the war and pull the troops out. But that's Iraq. In Afghanistan, it's different. In Afghanistan, all three contenders, McCain, Clinton, Obama, all support the effort, all want to make a bigger effort.
You said effort. What do you mean by effort? Do you think sending more soldiers and more power to Afghanistan would find a way to solve the problems?
I'm not sure if more forces are needed in big numbers.
But what do you mean by force?
More effort means more economic assistance, first and foremost, more effort to stamp out corruption, and a completely new approach to the drug issue.
You say drug issue. What's your view of the drug issue in Afghanistan? Because it is rising.
My major concern when I visit Afghanistan is the rising level of corruption. And that corruption is tied to the drug lords, and those drug lords are sometimes being supported by members of the government or relatives of members of the government. And this is a very dangerous situation. The drug culture can rot the inside out of Afghanistan society, and it has to be stopped. And that will take leadership at the national level, aggressive work by the Afghanistan National Police, and vigorous prosecution of drug kings.
So you say there is a good connection between corruption and the drug lords. So
Yes.
As we know, the government of Afghanistan, which is backed by United States, in allies of the United States, what do they think? Because it is like 5 or 6 years, which is going on, corruption is rising, beside that, the drug is rising. So what would be the best way to fight this two issue?
I think that the best way to fight the drug culture is to create an agricultural program, a massive agricultural program for the rural areas of Afghanistan, which gives the farmers a comprehensive agricultural package, seeds and fertilizer, water and irrigation, roads and markets, farmer education, an entire program. It would take 5 years or more to put into place. It would cost billions of dollars, but it would give farmers a chance to grow other crops productively. You can't just do it by destroying poppy seeds.